In this video I will show you what are transform and shape node in Maya, how to parent shapes using MEL scripting, and how can you create complex controls from multiple shapes or a single shape. My name is Anton Paragan, and you are watching free sample from Rigging in Maya Quick Start Workshop with English voiceover. So, let's get started. Transform node and shape node. Do you see the gopher? No, neither do I, but here it is. This is a phrase from the movie Demobbed, which turned into a meme. Here we have our gopher. And look, almost any object visible on the screen consists of two components, a transform node and a shape node. And in Outliner we can see it. And, for now, it is displayed as a single object. If we right-click, check the shape's checkmark here, and click the plus sign, then we will have such a hierarchy from the transform node and the shape node. Essentially, the transform node is an empty group. And imagine that we have a gopher in an invisible box, in such a container, which we do not see, but it exists. Therefore, there is no connection between them in the node editor. If we look here, there are no connections, but there is a hierarchical connection, which we can see. In addition to Outliner, there is such an old editor. It is called Hypergraph Hierarchy. If we go here, we can display the shape nodes here. In Display, check the shape nodes checkmark. And we will see the hierarchy. And the shape node, just like the transform node, has a visibility attribute. So, we can hide the object by hiding the transform node here. We can press Ctrl H. And also we can select the shape node, also press Ctrl H and the shape node will hide, while the transform node will remain. We will then apply it in the rig too. Or we can select the shape node, go to the object display, and also see this visibility parameter here. Now let's deal with the following things. You can parent the shape of one object to the transform node of another. And for this purpose we have the MEL command. Now, let's first do the following, create an empty transform node. In fact, this is our group. I press Ctrl G. And now I will move this transform node or group here. Now open the script editor, and you can write the following command, parent, add, s. Now let's go through the MEL script a little. What does this even mean? We wrote a command, and then we write some options. These options are also called flags. And here the S option stands for shape. This means that we are parenting the shape, not the transform node. And the add option or flag means that the command will parent the shape, thereby creating an instance. So, we will have one shape, but it will have parented to two transform nodes. Let me apply it now and see what happens. I select the shape of this gopher. Then I select an empty group, and apply this command. To apply it, you can select it like this, and press Ctrl Enter. Or you can click Execute All here. If you wrote a command, then move the cursor here and pressed Execute, then your command will be deleted. Therefore, it must first be highlighted. I usually just highlight a command or some code here and press Ctrl Enter. So, when we applied this command, as you can see, a duplicate gopher was created. This created an instance. What it is? So, if we start editing our gopher in subobject mode, for example, we select the vertices, then we will see that two gophers are being edited at the same time. And if now we look in the outliner, we will see like two shape nodes. But they are named the same. And if we look in the node editor, let's hide the shapes here. Select Show Connections. Then we will see that there are two transform nodes. And we have one shape node. But there are no connections here. So let's go here Hypergraph, Hierarchy. And here we can see such a thing. Here we have the first transform node that has a shape node parented to. And here we have another transform node, that is, an empty group. And this is where the connection comes in. And in fact, it's the same if we select an object and go to Edit, then Duplicate Special. Let's reset all the options now. Check the Instance Leaf Nodes checkmark here and click Duplicate Special. In fact, we will have the same thing. So, we kind of duplicated the object. At the same time, it always has one shape node, and this is called instance. In general, instancing is used to make rendering easier. So, the program understands that the shape of the objects is the same. It allows us to render much faster than as if each copy had its original shape. And of course, instances can be converted into regular copies. So, we select an object. Let's go modify, then convert. And there is an operation here called instance to object. At the same time, the shape node is duplicated. This object now has its own transform node and its own shape node. But these objects have the same shape. And we will also apply this in rigging. We can do something like this. We will create an empty shape node and add some custom attributes to it. For example, we can look here and see that there is a Shapes tab right here. And several shape nodes are displayed below. And as we can see, we have a main shape node here, which is a control shape, and an empty node that has custom attributes. And we can change the value of the squash attribute using them. And at the same time, if we select another control, then there is also the shape node, because it is an instance. So, all three controls have it. And at the same time, we can select any of the controls and change these values in it. And we will make this setup in the fourth lecture. If we want to change the parent, for example, we create a group. Then we will move it. And we will parent this shape node here. The shape node will just jump from this transform node right here. There is another command for this. I mean, the command is the same, but has different parameters. Instead of the add option, we write R, which means relative. Now I will show you how to find it all. We can write Maya mel and write parent. Maya help will usually be displayed in the first line in the search engine. And we can read about all of these options here, what they mean. As I mentioned, these options are called flags. And just here there is the relative option. And we can write these options both abbreviated and long as well. But in order not to write long, write like this, R, A, and so on. And what is the relative flag for? Let's apply the command now. We select the shape node, select a new transform node, which we want to parent to, and apply the command. And as you can see, we have the shape node. It jumped from here to there. And the relative flag is needed to save the shape's local transformations relative to the transform node. So, we had the shape relative to this transform node. But in fact, it was without offset relative to this transform node. And when we used this command with this option, it has also jumped over there without offset. Let's see another option. Instead of relative, we can write absolute. Or write nothing at all. Let's try to remove relative and apply. Let's apply parent S. And at the same time, we create another transform node. So, the shape node is not directly parented. It just stays in the same place. Just one more transform node is created. Therefore, this option must be specified to make the shape jump here. And how can this be applied in rigging? We are all considering for a rig. You can do the following. For example, we want to create some controls. Let's create such a thing, a circle. Let's duplicate it. Now let's do like that. Let's also duplicate it. Rotate it 90 degrees. And let's make it not 3 objects, but 1. This is the kind of control we will have. So, we have modified these objects. For example, here is the curve. I scaled it up. If I use this command now, I'll show shapes. Then I select this curve, and select this one, and apply parent, RS. You will see that it is gone. In fact, it didn't disappear. It is parented, and all its transformations were zero out. Okay, I'll undo now. So, it is the same as if I typed in 1 here at this transform node, and the shape node with the transform node returned to its default position. So before we parent all shape nodes to a single transform node, we need to make a freeze transform. So, we select these curves, apply the freeze transformation. Here the transformations are zero out. So, all these values, so to speak, are already baked on the shape node. And when we will select these shape nodes like this, and select the transform node to which we want to parent them, press Ctrl Enter, and apply this command, the shape nodes will be all parented here. We can delete it and see. And we've got one object. Here is such a control that contains several shape nodes. We can color all these shape nodes. We can go to the attribute editor. Each shape node has an object display here. There's a drawing overrides rollout here. We can enable this check mark. And for each shape node we can set some color. Like this. And of course, we will also use scripts to create controls. We will have an AP rig shelf. And we will have such a wonderful script with many different forms of controls. Various arrows, circles, cones, and so on. And all of this can be quickly painted here too. Also, we can quickly color all these shapes for the previously created control. In this script, the controls are cleverly made. If we look closer at some complex controls across, we won't see multiple shapes here. We will see only one. It's so cleverly done here that it's just one object. If we start moving its points, we will see that they, so to say, have outlined this object. So, if we imagine that we take a pen and begin to outline this shape without breaking away, to get only one shape. Here is such a thing. You can also start creating a curve like this, cleverly enough, to get one shape as well. And if we start to figure it out, you see, here these lines intersect. So, there won't be just one line, but several of them. If we start dragging points here, we will see the same thing. Thus it is possible to create controls with one shape. So guys, in addition, at the first lecture of the workshop, we'll learn such topics as global and local space, reset and freeze transformations, hierarchy, nodes, and attributes. And of course, that's not all. In the first lecture, there will be a big topic on Maya customization and speeding up the work when creating a rig. And then, in the next lessons, we will start rigging the rocket. You'll learn how to create a rig using standard tools and how to speed up the rigging process with a large set of scripts, custom marking menu, hotkeys, and other tools. If you want to learn more about rigging in Maya, check out our rigging course linked in the description below.